5,
5, 4, 3, 2,
go.
1. Blast off!
Well, we ruined that one. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome to the Got Girlfield Podcast! Episode number 8?
7.
7?
Yes. I think.
Mm.
Yeah.
Anyways.
We're back again with our number 49.
Mm-hmm.
We have finally reached the second part again, or something like that. Look, we got more episodes. Yay. It's not canceled.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Not yet. It's not taken out back like Odie Eller.
Not yet.
Not yet. He just got bit by the rabid raccoon or something like that. I don't know. I never saw Odie Eller. Alright, so today we are talking about 2 black and white movies.
Yes.
Very short black and white movies by most standards.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about Paths of Glory and The Invisible Man. We believe we're, last time we covered mine first, so I believe we'll be covering yours now.
Yes, we are going to talk about Stanley Kubrick's Paths of Glory, made in 1957. 1957.
Same year as 12 Angry Men.
Yes, same year as 12 Angry Men, weirdly enough. I think they actually went up against each other in the Oscars, if I remember right.
Ah, interesting.
I think. But don't quote me on that.
So, do you wish to give a synopsis of the movie?
Yes. So the general synopsis of the movie is that this takes place in World War One, in the trenches of World War One, I should say.
Late World War One.
Late World War One. And the entire plot of the movie is that a general is instructing a soldier or a lieutenant, I can't remember what his rank is, but he tells him, I need y'all to pretty much create a giant blitz that will technically be a suicide mission. Didn't say it's a suicide mission, but it's a whole mission that, you'll lose a large amount of men. And the soldier is not wanting to do that because he's been in the trenches for a while and he's seen how these soldiers have been holding up. It ain't going to work, and it's a suicide mission for nothing, so why even do it? And so, they don't follow the orders for the most part, and they are put onto trial. Or at least I should say court-martialed they are put under. And so they have 3 soldiers that are pretty much put into blame to represent the mutiny of sorts that they had. And now the soldier that's led the entire charge, he's tasked with defending these men. That's pretty much the entire synopsis of the movie. So
one of the very interesting things about this movie, because you don't see it from this perspective very often, this is a French perspective film.
Yeah.
This is talking about from the French army, because we very rarely talk about this. It's often from the American or the British perspective. Sometimes you even see the German perspective. You almost never see the French perspective, and every once in a while you might see the Russian one, but not really.
Yeah. I mean, the only way you'd see the Russian one is from, of course, Russian-made movies.
Which were the Russian propaganda films.
Yes. Now, the fun part about this, do you have any idea how hated this movie was in Europe?
Probably quite.
It was actually banned in France for quite a while.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, this movie puts the French army in a very bad light, and other countries in Europe banned this movie. I think Franco's fascist Spain.
That makes sense.
It was only banned until... It was banned in Spain until a year after Francisco died.
That
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. This feels like the type of movie Franco would hate.
This movie is very much, criticizing the generals and criticizing the authority within the military itself.
Because one thing you have to understand about this movie, it's not a war movie, it's a politics movie.
Yeah,
it is the politics of war.
Yes. The entire beginning scene of the movie... Okay, so we're going to get into the spoilers of the whole movie, essentially, now.
Yes.
So the beginning of the movie is that you see our main French general being talked to by his superior, saying... His superior is we want a whole invasion into the trenches and to go up against what they call the anthill.
Yes, the German position.
Yeah, the German position, or at least they call it the anthill.
Yes. Which is kind of this high-rise position over the trenches, so they call it the anthill.
Yeah. So, and the French general at first is adamant about doing it until his superior says, about a promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately he's like, oh, a promotion, you say? So he's all on board on that part.
Yep.
That's when he transmits that whole plan to the soldiers, and that's where the main plot starts to kick in.
Yeah. So one thing you have to understand about this movie is it's very much like a Kubrick film.
Yes.
This is one of those movies. It follows a story. It is told in 2 parts, and it has a very kind of tragic end that no one likes. Is one of the no one benefits from the story that happens here.
So for a spoiler for the ending of the movie, the soldier fails in defending his troops, and they are eventually executed. Except for the soldier himself that is having to give the orders.
Yeah, and also the main villain of the main general also winds up getting excused and all this. And
yes, because during the actual mission itself to commit the blitz, you have the backup that refuses to go on.
The artillery, yeah.
Yeah, the artillery refuses to go on. So the French general just tells...
Oh, he tells us the artillery.
He tells the artillery...
I think it's the third department or whatever the heck.
Yeah, it was something like that. You had the main blitz that goes in first, and then there's the backup.
Yep.
The backup refuses to go on, so the French general, when he sees this, he tells the artillery to strike them right there.
Which is a war crime.
Yeah, that's a war crime in and of itself. Well, at least by definition as well. Well, and the artillery even has to go as far as to say, we can't do that because, 1, that's a crime, and 2, we need a written signature by your superior to do this. Well, the French general just keeps on pushing it and pushing it. And also, during the whole court-martial trial itself, it's a fraud.
Yeah.
It's it's not serious. They're not listening whatsoever. It's already been decided well before the entire testimonies have been given.
Yeah. So, a lot of Stanley Kubrick movies, they have 3 aspects. Number 1, they're told in 2 parts often. There's the beginning half, and then there's the second half. And they're often pretty distinct from each other.
Yes.
First half of this movie is the actual battle. It is everything that's commencing there. It's people doing all the actions. The second half is the consequences, the trial, people getting in trouble, and the politics of it. So that's the 2 halves of this. The first half is a typical war movie, though told from basically a losing side. And the second half is the politics around that. Yep. Second thing that's often to a Kubrick movie, tragic stuff happens to the characters that no one benefits from.
Honestly, not even within our own main leads. I love how this movie portrays shell shock syndrome.
Yes.
Well,
very early on in the movie, too, they
Yep.
emphasize that one of the generals is there's no such thing as shell shock.
Yep. In case you don't know what shell shock is the original term that was used for post-traumatic stress disorder.
PTSD, yes.
Yep. So if you were a soldier in World War I and you were stuck in the trenches for a long period of time, one of the main things that a lot of soldiers were experiencing was shell shock syndrome, which they were literally experiencing PTSD. And there's some very famous photos that you could see of soldiers experiencing shell shock. They look like they're just dead in the eyes, just completely out of it.
And last thing that's typical for a Kubrick movie is a weird effing ending.
Yeah, the ending is very weird.
Those are the 3 things you can expect from every Kubrick movie. A story told in 2 parts, a tragic end for every single character involved that helps no one, and a weird ending.
Yep. Honestly, I would say the tragic ending helps in this movie because of what it's about.
Yeah.
However, the ending of itself being weird...
Yeah, this happens in a lot of Kubrick movies. You can probably cut off a Kubrick movie 10 minutes early and not lose anything.
Oh, man. So, we shall go apart our quad fun little thing here, where we'll be very spoiler heavy, of course.
Yep.
We will be talking about the writing, the acting, the production, and, of course, the design of the movie. So let's start off with the writing.
So this is actually a fairly quick-paced movie.
Yeah.
The dialogue comes back and forth very quickly, and I would say that there is a lot of actual surprising nuance to the actual dialogue itself. Some of it is hammed up a little bit.
Yes.
Especially told from the colonel's part, the cowardly colonel, the one that runs away after accidentally killing one of his men. He's they definitely ham up his stuff quite a bit.
Yes.
But other than that, I think a good example of this is actually the opening scene where they're talking about the promotion, where the main general is like, oh, absolutely not doing all of this, and then the moment of promotion's brought up, it transitions into that. Like, I think that's a good kind of subtle thing without just saying, I'll do this for the promotion. It's kind of like this nice subtle way of writing it where it's going from like absolutely not, no. Well, there is some glory in it for me, along with the promotion. Okay, yes. Well, I'll see what I can do.
So this movie reminded me of something, since you mentioned that. It reminded me of, like, so one of the things I wanted to do was to be a history teacher, but things changed, of course.
Yeah.
I really wanted to teach my students about songs, for example, teaching history through songs. And whenever I got to World War One, I knew immediately, I want to show them protest songs. And there is a very famous, somewhat famous, it was covered by a very famous band in the 90s, and it is a very simple song called Hanging on the Old Barbed Wire. So what this movie is all about is, not this movie, shoot, it's a very short song, and it's all about asking about which rank of this soldier or general, where is he at during this war of World War One. Such as, for example, it just like the tone goes dun 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 dun. So first one goes, if you want to find the general, I know where he is. I know where he is. He's pinning another medal on his chest. Then you go down to, if you want to find the colonel, he's down in the hole stuffing his bloody gut. Then the sergeant, he's then you go down to the sergeant, and then finally you reach the private. I know where he is. He's hanging on the old barbed wire.
Yep.
This entire movie feels like an entire, like, it's not adapting the song itself. It's just like showing, hey, the general is just trying to pin another medal on his chest. Meanwhile, the colonel is, getting drunk.
Yeah.
And then the sergeant is somewhere. And then, of course, the private, or at least the soldiers, they're dead.
Yeah.
They just died.
So, yeah, this movie focuses a lot on the politics of military.
Yes.
Because as much as some people like to say it, militaries are very political.
Yeah, well, obviously.
And I'm not very surprised as to why it's banned in so many countries, because this movie does not take a favorable position of what actual military politics is.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is people in higher positions trying to shift the blame to figure out who below me can take this for me instead.
Yep. I mean, literally, like, the whole thing about military is valor.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole reason why some people are accused of stolen valor within the military. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
So, the writing to this movie definitely follows that kind of thing. It takes a super unfavorable position to this, because as you're going along the movie, you slowly begin to understand, these people aren't trying to win a war. They're trying to gain some glory from this.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, there's
hence the name Paths of Glory.
Yes. I mean, wasn't there a very famous line within, like, British propaganda about, like, trying to bring men to go into war? Like, one of them, for example, is like a famous it's a poster of a man among his children, and it's just asking the question to the men that are reading it: what kind of stories do you want your children to tell your children when they ask, what were you doing in World War One? There's just a whole lot of, like, we're trying to, like say, for example, the soldiers that are, like, they're put into trial to represent in the court-martial, and, like, each of, like, one of them is, like, saying, I just want to return home to my wife and children.
Yeah. Constantly
bringing that up. So, yeah, this movie is very much showing, hey, there's a lot of politics involved in this movie. You got the general that has to want to keep his ass keep his recognition in check. And then you have the soldier trying to represent all of his men by trying to defend them and their honor to no avail.
Yeah. The commander I believe is the commander character.
Yes, I think so.
He is, like, one of the very few reasonable people who refuses to partake in the actual politics. He is one of the only ones that's like, I'm trying to win a war. While the rest of them are partaking in different, like, ranging from, I'm just trying to stay alive to I'm trying to get a medal.
Yep.
Well, he is the only one that's like, I have a war I'm trying to win.
Yeah.
So,
Since we're still on the writing, there is one line that I mentioned before that is one of my favorites, and I've actually used this a fair amount whenever some just a parade event outside art, like within the world, for example, that happens. I use this all the time to describe how I feel on things, and it's from the trial itself, and it's like the closing arguments from the commander. Gentlemen of the court, there are moments where I am ashamed to be a member of the human race. This is one such occasion. Because he knew I just did all this for nothing.
Yep. Because there are multiple times during the court where he's like, I'd like to call for this thing, and they immediately are like, that's not necessary, move on.
Yep. Or at least they won't allow it.
Which,
they won't allow certain evidence, and they won't allow anything.
Which is very historically accurate, too, because when you break down the statistics for World War I, France lost more men to mutiny than to actual warfare. Because a lot of it was men being put on trial to just, we believe you're cowardice. Which is kind of weird because obviously our cultural zeitgeist is, the French are cowards and all of this. The French so hated the idea, the even presence of that even the slightest whiff of cowardice was enough to put you to death.
Yep. Honestly, it's really funny to call them cowardice, but whenever there is something that they don't like within their government, they're willing to commit an entire revolution around it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, over here, we like to talk about, like, we have such and such, so we can commit a revolution ourselves, yet right now we are experiencing something that very much could use a revolution. But not going to get political. This is not a political channel. Anyway. The writing is very well done. Honestly, like, if there's a movie I can compare this to, would actually be Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah. I mean, another Kubrick film, so.
Yep. And this came before Dr. Strangelove.
Yep.
I actually fought with myself a little bit of, do I want to put Dr. Strangelove in here, or do I want to do Paths of Glory? Let's do Paths of Glory for fun.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I honestly think I might like this a little bit better because it feels more hard-hitting, and it's more blunt in its satire, or at least what it's trying to say, more so than what Dr. Strangelove was doing. I mean, like, they're talking about two different things. Paths of Glory is all about World War I and the politics therein. Meanwhile, Dr. Strangelove is the politics involving of the Cold War.
Yeah.
And all that happened.
So, moving on from writing.
Yes. Acting.
I don't have a lot to say about the acting. The acting itself is kind of medium to, like, even some characters being hammy.
Yeah. There are some that are, like, really, like, over the top.
Yeah.
Like, for example, one of the characters that are put up into execution, he's constantly crying with the priest.
Oh, yeah, he chews the scenery.
Yep.
And the camera, I'm pretty sure Kubrick was like, oh, yes, eat some more of this film, please, because he kept the camera on him for, like, a solid minute.
The only one that was, like, really subtle was the one that, character that was very serious in all this, like, when he was being brought to execution, even though he was knocked out cold.
Yeah, the one that draw lots.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, he actually seemed like...
He was, like, one of the very few subtle actors in the movie, because everyone else does, like, ham it up quite a bit.
Yep.
So if you're not a big fan of, like, hammed up movies, this could be a bit of a just kind of like, okay, have some subtlety, mate.
Yeah, there's not a lot of subtlety in all this.
That goes for a lot of Kubrick movies. Kubrick loves his actors that chew the scenery.
Yeah. I think one of the other actors that does do a well enough job is the ones that are trying to portray shell shock syndrome.
I would say I still say he chews the scenery. So
maybe I think it's not as bad compared to the others.
I mean, it's not as bad, but he's also not around as long.
Yeah,
so.
He's only there for like not even a full minute.
But while he's there, he does like chew it a bit.
Yeah.
So.
Let's see what else is there. But honestly, let's see. I think like the main. I think it's Kirk Douglas is his name. That is the main actor that's like promoted in the movie. I think that's his name. He's been in a few other movies, but I can't remember what it was now. But yeah, the acting, it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't really.
I would never point this movie out as standout acting ever. I would point this out more as hammy acting.
Honestly, for many Kubrick movies, you really can say like the acting is never going to be the strong suit unless you have a major household name actor like Jack Nicholson, for example.
Oh yeah, but
that's his.
Talk about chewing up a scenery. Oh my god. Jack Nicholson already chews it quite heavily. Then Stanley Kubrick came along, and I'm pretty sure he devoured half of Hollywood that day.
Yeah, this was in The Shining, so...
Yeah, this is The Shining.
We're not talking about The Shining.
We'll probably talk about that some other time.
Yes,
so.
It's not in the top 50 anywhere.
Yeah.
Next is production.
Yes. Obviously, Stanley Kubrick, very well produced.
Yep. Honestly, I just like watching like the scene where we are now officially in the trenches, and you're just seeing the one shot, and he's just pulling back all the way through the trenches, and I was like, yeah, this feels like a very Stanley Kubrick technique of what he would do all the time. Just keep the movie in one shot continuously and doesn't really change it.
I've always said Stanley Kubrick, I always think he's a better cinematographer than a director.
Yes.
He is an amazing cinematographer.
He understands how to work the camera.
Yeah. For a director, there's a reason why I never say there's great acting in Stanley Kubrick movies, because as a director, I don't think he can direct an actor amazingly, but he can direct a camera like no one else.
I'm excited for whenever we get to another Stanley Kubrick movie that focuses a lot on the camera. I'm really excited for us to talk about that, but we'll get to there.
Yeah, we'll get to there. But production-wise, another like good example of this is there's a scene very early on where they're crawling through the trenches and they find this little ruin area, and there's an amazing scene that they do this with great use of lighting, where they're like revealing the set of like where they're at by flares. There's 2 flares that go up into the air, and they reveal like this muddy area that they've been crawling across, and then suddenly there's just bodies underneath all of the mud they've been crawling all over, but they don't bring attention to it. It's just this little detail of just like, oh yeah, no, they're crawling through no man's land right now.
Yeah,
this is
like,
death.
In terms of like the actual subtlety in the movie, it's just showing like the actual warfare itself in the ground itself. Like what you're stepping on, it's pretty subtle. And honestly, like when they were actually showing like the charge itself, like them charging over to the anthill, you want to know what it kind of reminded me of?
What?
Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
During D-Day. It's very similar.
It is a very like grounded like showing of what fighting in World War I would have been like.
Yep. And also it was very loud. Like the amount of gunfire, explosion, there's no valor in this whatsoever. I mean, if you ever seen a Mel Gibson movie and how he portrays like war in battle, I hate Mel Gibson if y'all don't know this. And it should be evident because whether it's Braveheart or that stupid Revolutionary War movie where during a scene, for example, somebody the Patriot picks up a flag and is like, hold the line! Hold the line!
Yeah, he's charging through the middle of battle.
Yep.
Literally helping no one.
Yeah, it's literally helping nobody in this.
But, it is a very grounded example of war, which I think transitions this nicely into design.
Yes.
Which obviously, very grounded design because they do use French uniforms.
Yes.
World War I uniforms, obviously. Notably, we're not seeing like the full breadth of them because it's black and white, but I can't exactly blame them for that.
No.
If you don't know, World War I French uniforms are very striking because they were blue.
Yes.
Like blue uniforms.
They're still very much influenced by the Napoleon look and everything. They don't do it now.
Yeah. Well, every other army was moving over to, like, blacks and browns.
Yes.
So a French soldier stood out like a sore thumb, but you don't really get to see that in this movie because the black and white, unfortunately. That's one of the very few downsides of that, where it's like, we're not getting to see that costuming.
I wonder if they ever not remake this movie, but, like, try to colorize the movie. I wonder how that would look.
I'm curious if they actually did use blue uniforms for the, because a lot of black and white movies, they don't use the same colorings just because they want to control that a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because you'll see this in some black and white movies. Like, if you look by, like, a photoed colorgraph of while they're shooting, it's like, what the F are these colors?
Actually, how about this? This is for a TV show. The Addams Family.
Yep.
The Addams Family house itself was not dark and gloomy or anything. It was actually pink.
Yeah.
And it just emphasized the black and white filter that they were working with at that time. So, yeah, this is a good example of that.
Yeah, because often the best way to portray something in a black and white movie was to use an outrageous color, because it just became muted and looked like some type of gray tone. But the only way to get that gray tone that you were wanting was a certain, very specific, like, harsh color.
Yes.
And it was much easier to just dye something or an outrageous color than it was to be like, okay, now dye it this tiny bit more gray.
Yes. But yeah.
But, like, that's one of the few downsides, I would say. But other than that, that's not a real downside. That's not a real downside with the actual movie. They do a good job of actually showing that, and I'm not an expert in World War I, so I can't tell you how accurate the costuming was, but it's Stanley Kubrick, so I'm sure he went to ridiculous lengths, so...
Well, knowing how Kubrick is with another movie we'll talk about, and how in-depth that he is,
yeah.
I'd say, like, yeah, this is actually pretty close, and I'm familiar with World War I, so it's like, yeah, this is pretty close.
Yeah.
Like, it definitely has that feel, like, World War I to World War II is vastly different.
Yeah.
And World War I is definitely, like, you see the early modern uses of military and stuff. Like, there's no real use of planes, even though it was used heavily and stuff, but in these trenches, no, they didn't.
Yeah. Because the French from World War I to World War II, they were fighting in this type of style, very blue uniforms and all this, and when we got around to World War II, the French were using guerrilla tactics, so the uniforms were a lot more subtle because of that. Like, but in some occasions, I think it was just a red beret, and that was your uniform. Like, here you go.
Yep. But all around, though, like, I think it fairly well does a good job at portraying World War I.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now,
if you're a big history buff, I would say, like, yeah, no, like, this could be a...
I would actually probably say if you are a history teacher and wanted to portray World War I in a interesting light, this ain't a bad one to go off with. There's nothing graphic. Like, of course, you ain't going to see red blood or anything. I think this movie's rated, like, PG or something.
Yeah, this is back in where there was, like, 2 ratings. Either you got into theaters or you didn't.
Did you follow the Hays Code or did you not?
Yeah, basically.
With all that said, would you recommend this movie?
I would have a hard time recommending this to a lot of people, but in terms of Stanley Kubrick movies, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, Stanley Kubrick. And it's like, I would put this on the list of, yeah, no, this is a good watchable Stanley Kubrick movie.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of Stanley Kubrick movies, in my opinion, that do get, I shouldn't say overhyped, but get pushed forward too much for a general like person who's wanting to get into Stanley Kubrick.
Yes. If I was like bringing somebody along that is like either they like history or they want to experience something of Stanley Kubrick that is not within like the mainstream, whether it's like say Clockwork Orange, The Shining, and so on, I'd say Paths to Glory is probably a good starting point. Like, you get an idea of like how his style is, how he works the camera, and you see his little isms of how he controls his characters and stuff. And honestly, it's a fairly well written movie.
In terms of recommending it in terms of a World War I movie, there are a couple movies I would still recommend before this. Like, I would recommend shoot, why am I blanking on the name? 1930s German perspective.
Oh, All Quiet on the Western.
All Quiet on the Western Front. Thank you.
Yep.
I recommend All Quiet on the Western Front before this one.
That's be on the public domain next year. Keep that in mind.
All Quiet on the West. Did not come on public domain this year?
Not this year. It will be next year, though.
Okay, next year. Okay.
They did make a remake of the movie, though.
Yeah, but that's not public domain. That's the Netflix one. That's not public domain.
Yes, it's not public domain, but it is new. And if it's like you don't want to do black and white, the remake, serviceable job.
I still recommend the original before that, but yeah.
Well, yeah, the original. Always watch the original, but I think both are the remake.
Don't always watch the original.
Not always, yeah.
Sometimes, like Ocean's 11, probably watch the remake instead.
Yeah.
But World War I's, I would put it up there because I would put All Quiet on the Western Front above this.
Yes.
Maybe even Dunkirk before this. That's hard to say.
Dunkirk is World War II.
Yes, you're right. It is World War II.
Yes.
Chris Ward was World War I. I don't know why I thought it was World War I.
No, World War II.
Okay, never mind then.
Well, how about this? How would you rate it out of 10?
Out of 10, I would give this like a solid 8.
I think I gave it an 8 or a 9.
Yeah.
It's been a while when I last checked my rating for it. But yeah, it's high up there.
Yeah.
I could definitely, I always like telling people, Paths to Glory is like one of the more underrated World War I portrayals that I could think of. At least
I would definitely say it's one of the underrated Stanley Kubrick ones.
Yes. Yep. Alright, so, with all that said, we shall move on to our other, older, black and white. The Invisible Man.
1933.
1933. Well, Bryce,
so,
what is the plot of this movie?
This follows a chemist who has somehow found the secret to invisibility at the cost of his own sanity. And this is following him basically having killed someone and people trying to catch him.
Yes.
This is basically like a cat and mouse kind of film.
Yes. A very old version of a cat and mouse movie.
Yes, this is one of the classic Universal monster movies. One of the first ones.
Yes.
This is in the same realm as Frankenstein and Dracula.
Yes.
And Wolfman and Creature of the Black Lagoon. And
The Mummy.
Yeah, The Mummy. Not the Brendan Fraser one. I refrain from ever mentioning The Mummy because anytime I mention it, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, Brendan Fraser." And I'm like, "Nope, not that one."
Nope, not that one. Not that one. Or even to a lesser extent, not the Tom Cruise movie that they tried doing.
Oh god, there is an amazing thing I need to send you later. The original trailer for The Mummy, when it was first uploaded, they forgot to upload the music.
So, believe it or not, Bryce, before that movie came out and I saw that trailer, I remember vividly at our community college where we were hanging out at, I showed you the trailer, and you know what? You seemed not interested in it. I was like, this seems like something to be right up Bryce's alley, something that they completely forgot about.
Yeah.
And I thought you would be dying laughing from it. And here you are right now in our year 2026, and now here you are referencing this to me.
Yeah.
It all circles back. But anyway, yes, The Invisible Man. It is based off of a book by H.G. Wells, one of the original pioneers of science fiction.
Same author as The Time Machine and War of the Worlds.
Yes. And well, The Invisible Man. It has only been remade maybe once or twice.
Yeah, there was a recent remake, I think.
2020.
It's definitely been one of the lesser remade of the Universal monster movies.
Yes.
Outside of maybe like Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
Or Wolfman, I guess. Wolfman's another one. But unless, depending on what you qualify as the Wolfman, because like
There's a
Werewolf
dozen.
in London could qualify as
I was
a
going to say,
remake.
a Werewolf in London. Shoot, I wish I put that in my top 50 somewhere. that one's so much fun for weird reasons.
We'll probably cover it down the road then
Yes.
after the top 50s. So.
Yes. But yeah, The Invisible Man.
Yes.
It is only an hour and barely 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm surprised on how short it is.
Oh yeah, it's super short. It's one of the shortest of the Universal monster movies too.
Yeah. Now, we have a basic synopsis. Let's get to the writing part.
Yes, so this is going into spoilers now.
Yes, we're heading into the spoilers.
Writing-wise, I do appreciate the actual writing for the movie itself, because the movie does not treat its audience as stupid.
Yeah.
Which is a lot to say for the Universal monster movies. Universal monster movies presumes that you were going in with single-digit IQ.
Yeah, like, for example, like, it would make, like, how about this? Like, say slasher movies of the 70s and 80s where our characters were completely stupid.
Yeah.
Like, they make stupid decisions and they don't actually try to figure out how to defeat the big baddie. Like, they don't come together and think about something. Meanwhile, in The Invisible Man, you have the police and you just have other people trying to figure out, okay.
There's the police, the scientist, and the town.
Yes. So they're all trying to figure out, how can we beat this guy?
Yep.
And they come up with ways like interlocking their hands to a way to corner him. They try to...
They use snow, they use loose dirt.
Yes.
They use a wide variety of different tactics. It's very smart about it. And number two, I also appreciate the writing because the characters, they need to be stupid. They don't depict that as a character. They depict that as mankind.
Yeah.
Which I like as... I'm trying to remember who the exact quote is for this. But it's, I don't think people are stupid. I think man is stupid. Where, yeah, it's very much like anytime it's like, okay, we need someone to be dumb, it's like the little group of people, like the townstead being like, I think he's a prisoner who escaped from a jail. Like, it's the rumor mill of things like that. That's where they get the, like, oh, this is how we get the stupid character in.
Yes. That's the main plot of the movie is trying to figure out, how can we beat this guy?
Yeah, that like, what I just described there is, like, probably the first, like, 20 minutes at most.
Yeah.
So the majority of the movie is dedicated to catching him.
Yep.
And the Invisible Man himself, the actual main... I hesitate to call him protagonist, because he is more of an antagonist.
Well, antagonist acts, and then the protagonist reacts.
Yeah.
So, the town could be considered, or at least the people trying to catch him are protagonists reacting to the antagonist, which would be the Invisible Man. So,
yeah,
that would work.
So, it's one of those weird ones. It's kind of hard to qualify. So.
Yeah.
But the Invisible Man himself is also very clever. He's very well written. Because, yeah, they're having to portray him as insane.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going through, and you're getting to see, it's like, okay, yeah, I have this conquering I'm needing to do. I'm needing to do these things. I'm going to get these people roped in, and I'm going to basically outsmart these people in these ways.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a very good, like, old cat and mouse. Like, this isn't like a catch me if you can, like, level cleverness.
No.
But it is, like, in a much smaller scale, and it's very good for that scale.
Yeah, like, it's not a, how about this for example, it's not an earth-shattering, catch me if you can type thing. It's
Oh,
like
God, no, yeah.
It's very localized type thing. I mean, like, he is a menace. I mean, literally, he derails a whole train.
Yeah.
And just causes it to explode after it derails. But it's just definitely a thing of, like, this guy is a massive public nuisance, and if we don't catch him, he's going to be probably on the run forever.
Yeah.
So,
Which they allude to very early on in the movie when they corner him in a room. They lock the door. It's like, whatever we do, do not open that door, because we'll never catch him in a million years if this door opens.
Yep. All around, yeah. The characters, well written. Dialogue, pretty sound. There's nothing really to complain about at all. Now for the acting.
Yes.
Okay, so this takes place in the 1930s, and this is when talkies were definitely becoming the big thing.
Yes.
So,
Because Jazz Singer was 3 years before?
I think so.
4 years before, around that area?
I want to say 3 or 4.
Yeah. So, a movie featuring talking was very new. This was groundbreaking. This might have been someone's first ever talkie.
Probably. In which, yeah, they definitely ham it up for the talkies. Because, for example, one of the female characters, like, there's the colloquial term, Scream Queen.
Yeah.
All she does in the movie is...
She does a bit of screaming.
Yeah.
But it's more ham than scream, I would say.
Yeah, it's very more ham.
You can tell by, like, the scene where she's crying, because she's like...
Yeah, because you can tell that she got most of her acting experience from, the silent era film, where they're supposed to really ham it up to let the audience know.
Which makes sense, because she's also on the older side, so...
Yeah. Yeah, she's a lot older. Like, she's an older woman, like the wife of the tavern owner.
Yep.
So, of course, she's going to ham it up, being ultra animated, which, I mean, makes sense. I mean, you're in the silent era, you have to find a way to portray to the audience that you are, say, screaming or you're crying and so on. Mm-hmm. They're really going to ham it up, and... Yeah, it's just a product of the time.
There's a reason why I don't qualify them as scream cream, because I would say they're more animate than screaming.
That's the only... Well, yeah. Well, like, that's the only thing I can really think of to, like, at least, like, to tell the audience, like, this is the closest I can give to you, but it's not the exact same.
But the typical character you would normally qualify, like, if this movie was made in, like, the 70s, let's say, the character that would have been the Scream Queen, the wife, does no screaming in the movie, really.
Yeah.
Like, she is another one of the smarter characters. She's like, listen, I have a position here. I am the wife. I can be the source of reasoning. I can talk to them. I can get that down. So, the characters themselves, yes, there's a lot of ham in this movie. Mm-hmm. But it's also a horror movie. You've seen more hammy horror movies. I can guarantee you that.
Have you ever seen Friday the 13th?
Yeah, like, talking about that again. So.
Yep. But really, it's just a product of its time.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you just know, like, oh yeah, talkies were starting to become a thing.
Yeah.
This is just how it is.
Yeah. A lot of movies, especially the classic Universal monsters, but I would say this one suffers from it the most of the classic Universals, where it's like, oh, they're hamming it. They're hamming it for this screen.
Oh yeah. Not really to a detriment. It's just like once you just know, like, oh yeah, this was just the style for the time, you kind of can think, okay, I can understand that.
Which, this is why this is an important thing to bring up with Paths of Glory. Because Paths of Glory, I was like, they're hamming it up a little bit. This is where we meet the difference in genre. Because Paths of Glory is a very serious film. It is talking deeply about the politics. This movie's not. This is a fun romp of a movie. If you're just doing a fun romp, effing ham it up, man. Put the goddamn entire sandwich on the table.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Invisible Man, I wouldn't say it's fully romp. Because, like, horror, at least back then, like, compare Nosferatu, which came out 13 years before this movie, which we'll remind people about this again when we get to production.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting just to see how much horror has transitioned from being silent and subtle to, like...
the German expressionist,
the German expressionist aspect to what the Americans did with the Universal monster movies.
Yeah, because if you're not aware... during this time period, there were three major players in film. There was the Russian propagandists, who were making basically propaganda films. This is Battleship Potemkin, for example. Which were like, we need to prove communism. We need to prove everything. So they make films around that. Then we get to the Germans with Expressionism, where they're going a lot more into the art house effects. And that takes a hard drop off with World War II because a lot of them were Jewish. So,
Yeah.
And then the next one is Americans who were doing the ham and comedy, because the ones that were earning the most money for them was like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton.
Yes.
And those individuals. So each of them took three different perspectives on them. When you watch Russian movies from the time period, it's all about glorification, about building things up, these kind of larger-than-life stuff. While with the Germans during the time period, it's a lot more about the artistic, the difference, making something that stands out among the crowd. And with the Americans, it is something that is just bombastic. It is something that's basically there to watch and go like, wow, this is a movie. Like, so that's like historically the important thing you need to keep in mind with those three things. This falls into the American side, obviously.
Yes.
So the Americans this time period love to play up the bombasticness of like, this is a film, guys. Well, because it was the populist. The
everyman.
Yeah, the Russians and the Germans did not do the everyman quite as much. The Americans are like, we want to make money off this. Because the other two, they weren't as interested in making money. The Americans were needing to make money, so their perspective was all, how do we basically pull in as many human beings as possible to sit in a seat?
Yes.
So because of that, a lot of the films around that time period were very loud. They were always trying to be the loudest one there. Hence why the talkies were such a huge thing for the Americans, but not as much for the Russians and Germans.
Yes. All around, though, with the acting, though, like, judging it overall, it's serviceable.
Yeah.
I mean, once you understand when it was made during the context of, not like in the outside world, just with cinema in general, yeah, it's just like,
yeah,
it's there.
It's comically hammy, but, yep. If you like hammy acting, then this is good for it.
Yep. Now here for the fun part. Production.
So this was a revolutionary film for production.
Without a doubt. So, like the title suggests, we have an invisible man.
Mm-hmm. How do you portray someone invisible on a screen?
Without CGI.
Or green screen.
So Bryce, you've told the story before, I'm sure, on this podcast many years ago.
Yep.
How did they make this man invisible?
So this was using a old method called double exposure. So, double exposure, this wasn't the first time double exposure had been used. If you're familiar with A Trip to the Moon, same director, what was his name? I want to call him Gene, but it's not. It was like Mini or something like that. He, very early on, made films about magic tricks. And it was, a good example of this is that he would have a scene where he took off his own head. And it's like, whoa, how did he do that? It was called a method called double exposure. What you do is you black out everything in a scene outside of exactly what you're wanting to show. This used to be a long time ago. You would have to hand go through and stencil out everything frame by frame.
That would take forever.
It would take forever, so they never used it. Outside of, like, these small magic tricks, which were, like, 1 minute long things. You had at a booth and you walked up and you cranked the thing as you watched it. Like, that's what it used to be, this kind of double exposure. But then they came up with a method of, if we use the lighting and fabric in the correct way, we can light a scene in just the right way to have black over it. It will come off as pitch black, and then we can put things over it to actually show, wait a second, this doesn't look like it's over anything now. And then they could double expose it that way.
Yes.
So that's how they had to do it back then, which... It sounds simple. That's because it's one of those, sometimes the simplest answer is the best one, and no one would think of this. Because it requires an expert in these types of, like, gaffing that just didn't exist during the silent era. Because this is during the time people had to wear comic makeup just for their face to appear on a screen. Like,
there was another horror movie around this time where they did a very similar technique. Well, not a similar technique to what Invisible Man did, but they had the main woman who was being portraying as a witch, and they put makeup on her, and like they just changed the lens from where her face would be normal, but when she was caught, they changed the exposure to where the makeup will show her old wrinkly hag face.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, very similar in how they do it.
So these techniques in lighting were very new, and because they just weren't possible back in that time. So the development of these lighting techniques were revolutionary in special effects. It's one of those weird cascading things. It's like lenses developed, so then we can update the lighting updated, so now we can update the special effects.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's amazing. Like, it sounds so simple, but you have to think about, like, there was a lot that went into that.
Yeah.
Like, so many things that needed to be developed just to make this one thing happen.
It's like
to make a dude walk around without being able to see him in his pants on.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's literally one of those instances of, like, how about this, for example? There's a movie that could be comparable to this. James Cameron's Avatar.
Mm.
He originally had the idea for Avatar as early as the late 70s, but he said, I can never make this movie because the technology isn't here yet.
Yep.
So he kept waiting, made movies, get experience, and then he finally made Avatar.
Yep.
Because the technology was there for it, and the rest is history.
Because there's often two things that happen when new technology is developed. Either a director who's like, I've been wanting to make this movie, but I've been holding on to it, and now I can use this technology to make it. Or a director goes, neat technology, what can I do with this?
Yeah. Usually the first option is probably the better one.
Yeah, the first one's often the better one, because the second one is often just a director's like, I'm going to make a spectacle.
Yeah. And even then, the second one is like, sometimes though, the second one might happen if it's a director that knows, like, I won't be alive I won't be alive when this technology is made, so I need to do it now.
I think the best example most people are familiar with is the 3D craze.
Yes.
Where a ton of directors like, let's make a movie that's 3D! How do we do that? F if I know!
Oh, here's a very simple one. Just have the camera and just have somebody throw an object.
Yep, so much of that back in that era. Oh my god. I think one of the worst attributors to that is Robert Rodriguez.
Oh my god.
Robert Rodriguez was really bad about that.
We watched...
Spy Kids did it. Yeah, Spy Kids 3D in particular.
Yeah, the one I could think of immediately was Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Shark Boy and Lava Girl also did it, yep.
Yep, that was the main one I could think of immediately.
Yeah.
Almost every movie came out with 3D glasses.
Yep.
It's something else.
Which, if you were not watching on 3D, aka at home, on video, aka home video, one of the major markets, the film was awful. It was so bad that they began trying to find ways very quickly to be like, how can we have customers at home watch it in 3D? And that's when we began getting like 3D TVs and stuff like that. It was just like,
oh my god, I forgot they did sell that.
Yeah, they were around for a hot second.
Yeah,
and then people were like, these are awful.
Yeah, they didn't like it, so they decided to get rid of it.
Yeah, because they worked for like, there's like 3 movies that work with this. And then every other movie was unwatchable. So yeah, like,
oh my god.
This is one of the Invisible Man is one of the movies that definitely they were like, wait, we can make H.G. Wells' Invisible Man.
Yep.
Because this was very clearly someone who was like, I want to make an H.G. Wells movie, and they were like, wait, Invisible Man, we actually can do this now.
Yep.
Because it was completely undoable before this.
I think before Invisible Man, I think that's when they did World of Worlds, if I remember right. Unless they were doing...
That would add up.
Or maybe it was around that same time. We'll talk about H.G. Wells more sometime.
Yes, we have some H.G. Wells movies, so.
Yes. But yeah, the production is honestly the strongest part of the movie, without a doubt. Especially how they portray, like how they do the Invisible Man himself.
Yep.
Everything else, just fine. It's just the technical marvel of what they did, like taking double exposure and not making it just like a background thing. It's making it like the main thing to show in the movie. Hey, it's great.
And it doesn't take away from the movie too much, I don't feel like. Because there are a lot of movies when they're like, here's a new special effects. Let's spend 20 minutes showing off the effects!
Lord, yeah.
The closest scene that there is to showing off the effect is when he's going through the town. But, that's a 30-second montage.
Yeah.
That's like nothing. And even then, they're not using the new technology for a lot of it. They're using wires for most of that.
Yeah, you can actually see the wires in the movie itself, though, sometimes. In which... it can be funny just to see it because like it's like a haha funny gaff in the movie, but it's just
Yeah.
I mean yeah, but it doesn't really take away from like maybe back in the day if you were in the theater and stuff you wouldn't see it because of the grain of the theater, but in a modern day HDTV
Yeah, it's a lot easier to see.
Yeah, it's easier to see, but hey, it's just how it was.
Because
You gotta do
you
what
do
you
have
gotta
to
do.
remember, the only way to watch these movies back then was sitting in a theater with like 30 other people, and you're watching it from like 100 feet away.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah. Design for this movie.
design. I actually really like the costume design for this movie. The
Yeah.
costume design is so fun.
Yeah, the Invisible Man's design itself, it's pretty iconic.
So iconic. Oh my god.
Heck, it's referenced still to this day. I mean, well, somewhat referenced to this day because Universal owns the rights for the original design of the Invisible Man in the movie itself. But meanwhile, other people, like, if they're going to make a reference to the Invisible Man, they'll have him in a nightgown, of course, maybe wearing glasses, and having some kind of, like, tarp thing over his head. But yeah, it's like a very iconic design.
Yeah, no, like, he stands out so much, and he's so striking and memorable.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the characters that are around him, like, supporting cast, the costumes are just kind of fun. Honestly, I like them because they do just for the village, for example. They go for a much more folksy kind of look, which they never say that he's in a small bumpkin town where everyone knows each other. But by looking at the costume, you can tell immediately. It's like, oh, he's at Bumpkinville right now.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's good small things like that I really appreciate with the costuming.
Yeah. I think it's pretty subtle for everybody else. I mean, they really went more all out in thinking, how can we be very simple but iconic for the Invisible Man? And everybody else, yeah, we just do your serviceable job right there. I think it's just fine.
Yeah.
All right, so we did the the quads, you could call it. I'm going to call it the quads from now on.
We exercised our quads.
Yeah, we... Don't be Kevin Nash, though. That's a reference. Points for you if you get that reference. Anyway, recommending this movie. I guess that's a question for me. Would I recommend it to people? Now, that's a hard question to answer because I don't really think there's a whole lot to offer for the modern audience. I mean, it's super short, so you can easily get it done in like less than an hour. I'd say this is a good movie as like a homework piece.
Yeah.
Just to learn how they made movies back then and to learn about the double exposure technique.
Yeah. I would say in a few years, there's no reason not to watch it.
Yeah, because it'd be for free.
Yeah, it'll be for free here in a few years. So in a few years' time, you will just watch the first 5 minutes. If you don't like it, cut it off. But
honestly, like, the best thing you could do is just watch, like, my wife, she watched maybe the first 15, 20 minutes or something like that. As soon as the Invisible Man exposes himself, like, shows his like identity and stuff, or lack thereof identity, I should say. Yeah, that's when I wanted her to see. I was like, hey, just at least to see just this technique that they did back in the 30s and how it revolutionized movies, and then she carried on.
Yeah.
It was just like, literally, just see that scene, especially, just to be hopefully impressed by what they were able to accomplish back then.
Yeah. Outside of that, it is a harder movie for me to recommend to people. If you're someone who is interested in the classic Universal monster movies, you're probably going to watch Frankenstein or Dracula well before this.
Yeah.
Just because those are, like, the ones you probably heard about. And so I completely understand if you're just like, I'm going to watch this first. So I completely understand that.
Like, it's not a movie with iconic roles as, like, Bela Lugosi's Dracula.
Oh, yes, Bela Lugosi.
Or Boris Karloff's Dracula. No, not Dracula. Frankenstein.
Imagine him playing Dracula.
Oh my god, that'd be funny.
But,
No.
yeah.
But yeah, it's a very good homework piece of movie that you can easily get. If you want to watch the entire movie, it's very fast.
Yeah. And it's not one of those movies that's like, we're going to start a franchise. Because that's a very new thing. They clearly were not trying to do that at the time.
It wasn't until the Hammer movies in the 50s where it was Christopher Lee that played Dracula. That's when they really were.
I thought that was the 60s.
No, well, late 50s, early 60s.
Oh, okay. Because I thought this was, Christopher Lee played Dracula in the 60s, I thought. So.
Yes. Yes, he did. Now, how would I rate this movie? 6 or 7. Somewhere around that point. Serviceable. It is old, and you could call it dated in some areas, but it's important for a reason.
Yeah.
So, do you have a rating for it too?
Well, just presume if it's on my top 50, presume it's going to be a 9 or a 10. Like,
Yeah.
I love these movies. This is one of those movies I can just throw on in the background, and it's just fun.
Yep.
It's just a fun movie. I'm always thoroughly entertained when I watch it.
Yes.
So.
All right. So let's conclude our episode here. So next time, the movies that you will need to watch if you are following along. For Bryce's number 48 is Clue from 84?
85. Same as Back to the Future.
Ah, yes. A star-studded cast, literally, yes, and it is based on the popular Hasbro board game Clue.
Yep.
Star-studded cast, and it is a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And then my number 48, Lawrence of Arabia from 1962.
Yep. Peter
Good-
O'Toole.
Yep, Peter O'Toole. Good luck watching it all in one sitting.
Yeah, good luck watching it by next episode. We gave you a light one this time. Next one's going to be a bit harder.
Yes. I probably would say maybe watch Lawrence of Arabia until the intermission, and then you can watch the rest of it. Well, actually, like...
Yeah, we're going to cover Lawrence of Arabia the second half, probably.
Yeah.
So that way you can at least watch the Clue part.
Yes. All right. Thank y'all so much for watching. Am I going to have to say it, or are you going to have to say it?
You always say it, so...
Well, you used to say it in the original...
Did I?
You said it during the original run of the podcast.
Dang.
I was going to give you the chance, but screw you.